Well, good morning again, and welcome to Mirador. Thank God it's Friday. What we try to do is we try to spend this hour, not hour, half hour, just pottering around, doing little silly bits and pieces, simply because we end the week with a discussion and a chat to Melissa Conti. Now, we hope, because once again we are trying hard to be innovative. We have lined up from the Speakers Forum Professor Malcolm Gaskill, a professor of early modern history, who is a specialist on witchcraft, and his bestseller tells the dark, real-life folktale of witch hunting in a remote Massachusetts plantation. So who better than to interview him than Our Lady from New York, Melissa Conti? And I hope that is what's going to happen with our type of television, between the desire and the realization. Sometimes you can have quite a pratfall. So you have to be ready to jump in with absolute rubbish and nonsense. So rubbish and nonsense is what we're going to indulge in for the next little while, and we'll see what rubbish and nonsense we've got. But he's and we have to plump for some things. Now, what is this all about? I think there are a few things just telling you what Mirador is. So let's try this, shall we? Yes. Well, it doesn't look as if there's any sound on that one. So let's forget it for the moment, shall we? Yeah. Okay. Take it out, Bernard. There we go. Let's have another little look at what we may have lurking in our library here. And this one says promo. Let's take a look at this one. Right? Hey, very good one.
September we met, I could tell by your smile. You hadn't been with a good girl like me in a while. Yeah, you were impressed, couldn't leave me alone. Text me every time that you pick up the phone. And I had control in the driver's seat, but my hands are slipping off the wheel. Now the tables have turned, now I'm up all night. I'm picturing you, acting like a fool. I'm on the other side, you're like a full moon, and I'm up all night, howling at you.
Well, there you go. That's a promotion that we did 2 or 3 years ago. So we're looking back, aren't we? Yes, we're looking back. Let's see if we can find any other nonsense of that caliber, of that sort. Cantona. Do you remember the football, Eric Cantona? It was Canton R. It used to be the and you never knew exactly what he was going to do. Eventually, he jumped into the crowd and kicked a supporter. I think they got a bit upset at that, but nonetheless. All right, let's see what we may have here. I'm really looking for. Well, this says sing generic. Let's play that. I And if you don't know which television channel you're watching now, God bless you. Dear. It is Mirador television, which is a small-scale television that emanates from the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, which is the county town of East Sussex. It's a small town. Its population is only 17,000. But nonetheless, ever since King Alfred's time, he who burned the cake, but became one of Britain's great kings in medieval or pre-medieval times, it has punched above its weight. And it has always had a rivalry with Chichester, which was the other main town. Brighton didn't exist, Eastbourne didn't exist. There is a port which vacillated between Newhaven and Seaford. And they actually also were in a big fight to see who would be the main port. And it really was where the River Ouse, which still flows through Lewes and still comes out at now Newhaven, but it depended where the mouth of the river ended up on the coast. And from time to time, storms would change the direction in which the river flowed. And a storm had changed it. This is sometime in the 19th century, changed it back to Newhaven. And Seaford said, here, we're not having any of that. What we want our river back. And so we can actually decide that we will be the premier port on the channel. And so they decided that they would blow up Seaford Head, the major cliff, and the rock would come tumbling down, and it would divert the river back to Seaford. So a huge crowd gathered, 20,000 people gathered to see this monumental explosion that was going to knock Seaford Head down. Among them, I may say, was Charles Dickens, he of author fame, and he came to watch it. And in fact, Charles Dickens, this was his stomping ground between Brighton and Seaford and Newhaven, and the odd trip through Lewes. Charles Dickens is very fond of this part of the world. But anyway, I digress. And he turned up along with the other 15 to 20,000 people to watch the Seaford Head be blown up. It was a huge success. The rock came tumbling down. It fell in the bed of the river where it was supposed to. Whoopee! Everything was going to be all right. Seaford was going to be crowned King Port again. Except Seaford Head was mostly chalk. And after a couple of days, the river, in its great might, managed to dissolve all the rock, and it continued on its wonderful little path down to Newhaven, which is where it comes out today, and that is the major port, and from which a ferry leaves for Dieppe, and has for a good many years. So that was the little story there about how to try and get your trading back. I tell you what, we haven't actually shown our version of the Potter's Wheel recently, and I think we should. Okay. Now, one of the things that I wanted to chat about, there are 3 or 4 interesting things that are floating around at the moment. One is the plans that have been submitted for what is known as the North Quarter, the North Street Quarter, and Stuart and I had a real go at them on Wednesday. And as a result of that, Stuart is giving the opportunity to the developers, who apparently will say nothing, to the council, who hate us like poison, and to anybody else who has a vested interest to come in and put their side of the story. We've actually expressed partly some of the traders' fears, and strangely enough, we in looking at some of the social media, we find that quite a few worthies around town agree with what we're saying. Now, the other thing that is a bother is the election. We have made our position quite clear. We don't think that party politics should be political parties should leave local governance alone. And let's get the very best people that we can for the job. The very best people that we can. Because the party politics is everybody is urged to get involved in the party. And instead of looking at local issues that need addressing, not least of which is bring back our governance to Lewis from Eastbourne. It's amazing how politicians can actually impose disaster on us and then go around saying how wonderful they are for doing it. Absolutely astonishing. And they do it with a straight face. They're terrific. Is this lot, is the Tories that were in power prior to this lot, actually it got us into all sorts of messes. I mean, they were just awful in terms of governance, not least of which is the move to Eastbourne started under them. But then this lot were coming in for 4 years, and boy, were they going to change things. They've changed nothing. All they do is they talk, just the same as the last lot. Now, the point is that amongst these people who follow religiously and like lemmings the party line, oh yes, there are some good people. There are some good people. And they are not all necessarily committed to the same party. I would much rather have the good people in charge and not be affiliated with a party than the way it is at the moment, with the good people split around all these other people, politicians who are so determined to make sure my party right or wrong. And 9 times out of 10, it is wrong. This community, this town, has a lot of problems, and I don't see any of them being addressed. Oh, we've got lots of green policies, and we've got lots of sort of liberally, what should we say, influenced policies. We've got the Conservatives still talking right-wing stuff, and none of them make any sense. None of them. But occasionally you find an individual who does make sense. And those are the people that I would like to see in charge. Now, it's funny, but in this country, we refuse to think that anybody can do anything better than we do. So as a consequence, reform is a long, long way away. Reform? Ooh, it's like swearing at a politician to suggest reform. It'll never come. It'll never come. But the fact of the matter is that I lived under a non-partisan governance for 15 years of my life, which was hugely successful in a city that was 400,000 people. Nowadays, it's more than that, of course. But when I was there, it was 400,000 people, 4 times the size of the Lewis district. And it was governed by 7 aldermen, all of whom were there because they were good at what they did, not because they abandoned their parties. In fact, one was a communist. And I remember his name well, Harry Rankin. And he was a lovely, lovely man. It was terribly amusing because from time to time, American cities would invite Vancouver City Council to go down and show them and demonstrate how the Canadian form of governance worked. Come on down, they said, and you come down and perhaps give us a short mock demonstration. But you can't bring Harry. He's a communist. We don't allow commies into our society. The poor old Harry had to go down as far as the border and then wave a handkerchief at his departing colleagues. It's because he was a communist. He never espoused communist views. He did what was good for his city. And there is no reason why that can't work here. None whatsoever. Because actually, it didn't matter whether it didn't work. Because the present system doesn't work, and it's their own fault. The cabinet system introduced by Tony Blair in 1997 is iniquitous. It means that all those people who are elected by us as councillors are an irrelevance. They're there to put their hand up, right? This is what the party says. Yeah. It's hilarious to watch them. The hands go up as if there's a piece of string. I mean, it's a comedy. It's hilarious. Only a handful of people who bother to go down there. But I'll tell you, if you wanted a night away from comedy on the telly and you wanted a really good laugh, go down to a council meeting. I tell you, you can't make that up. You really can't. And they take themselves seriously. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But something has got to be done about it. And it's my view that what we do is we try to find, there were 2, and maybe I'm doing somebody an injustice, but there have been 2 people who in their own way can be very difficult, but they were independent. One was the past mayor of the town, Stephen Catlin, who is poorly right now. Stephen is suffering from a particularly nasty form of cancer, and although he's elected and he's running in this election, he is poorly, and it's a pity because he is most effective independent, and the other one has opted out of politics altogether. And that was Ruth O'Keefe. Very effective councillor. Now, why don't we learn from these things? Oh, don't be so silly, Keith. Don't be so silly, all those people that question what we do. We are the politicians. We know what's best for you. Really, that's the best? Isn't that the best I can do? I was looking at some stuff on social media, one from Kevin West, and actually he outlined what his background is. And actually he would, I think, from his CV anyway, and what he's put up, is be a very fine independent. He is somebody of whom I could approve as trying hard to better his community. But he was heavily involved in rugby at one time. And I made the comment is Kevin, you can't be all bad. you played rugby. But it's really, whether in fact you think that I'm tongue-in-cheek, whether in fact you think I'm just causing mischief, and actually there's an element of both, we need to look at the way that we're governed. And it is totally and utterly unsatisfactory at the moment. Utterly unsatisfactory, but I don't notice the political parties saying, let's get together, let's form a committee, let's take a look at the way we're governed. Yes, I fully approve that what we have to do is we have to have an element of tradition, and we have to have an element of history, an element of the past. Yes, it is important that we maintain that. But that has got to be in context, and we are not at the moment. It is my party right or wrong. And I'll tell you, boys and girls and in-betweens, you have got it wrong. It ain't working. The system is broken. And you are in a position to try and fix it, except that either A, you don't accept that it's broken, or not. And the abuse that we see in Westminster is replicated down here. There is an illegal structure in the garden of one councillor who sits on the planning committee and blithely ignored all the planning restrictions. Now, that's the sort of thing which cannot go on. I'm not picking on the Greens particularly, but their brochure says re-elect. And two of those people, I looked up, I wanted to make sure that we were absolutely right. Two of the three people that it says re-elect have never been a councillor before. Never. Re-elect? Re-elect what? What are we doing? Allowing that sort of nonsense to try and influence us. The suggestion that these people have got practical experience. They haven't. Come clean. It may be that what we want is somebody who actually is new to the system, to the situation. Maybe that's a plus, but don't lie about it. Don't cheat. Just because you've got your hand in glove with a long-time politician whose cynicism makes, if not cheating, at least twisting the truth. Bothers me. It bothers me. Let's tweak the tail of the energy companies.
Well done, the energy companies. They're full of bright ideas to help their customers. Now they've made power so expensive that for an average house such as this, you can't afford to heat it. So you don't need appliances such as this. But that means you also don't need a fridge, because you can keep your groceries cool and fresh without it. The house is cold enough. Well done, chaps.
Well, now, what we're going to do is to finish this half hour, because we've got 5 minutes, with the appeal that I'm consistently making is for Parkinson's. Here it is. Good morning. This is Mirador Television, and this is totally unscheduled. Behind this picture of Parkinson's disease is me. And what's more, I've got Parkinson's. Oh, yes, I have. And that's why I thought I was just pottering around this morning. And if you try to see me picking something up, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I have to flip it against the wall so that I can get some leverage. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's my computer, whether it's a pin, whether it's a pen, or whether it's a £5 note. That's a rarity in itself. But I just wanted to have a quick word to make an appeal on behalf of Parkinson's and Parkinson's sufferers. I don't want you to send me any money or this station any money. We're very bad at handling money. We get ourselves into all sorts of trouble trying to handle money. But please send some donations to Parkinson's, because it is the forgotten. It is the forgotten disease, and it's debilitating, and it's frightening, and it's scary. A lot of famous people have had it. Billy Graham. Michael J. Fox, Muhammad Ali, the begin, whose name I remembered a moment ago, and I've forgotten now. That's a sign of Parkinson's. You start to get a little bit of dementia. Not a great deal, but some. But Neil Diamond. There are lots of famous people who have Parkinson's, and I know a few who fight it. That's the point. It's really a positive way of thinking. I am very positive. It ain't going to get me. I've had it for almost 10 years now. And yes, I'm worse now 10 years later than I was 10 years ago. But I'm still not as bad as everybody thought I would be. Yeah, I shuffle. I have difficulty walking. I don't have difficulty holding a glass of wine or a pint, I'll tell you that. But basically, I look at it in a very positive way, because each morning when I take a pill, which I have to take, I say to Parkinson's, bugger off. Just get away from me. Go away. And it does for a day. I'm able to function almost normally. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm 83. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I've got Parkinson's. I get myself ready. Off I go. And I start a television. Well, I start preparing a television thing at about 7:15. Sorry. Yeah, I get up at 5:15. At 7:15 in the morning at the White Hart Hotel in Lewis, and then at 8:30 I go on the air. Okay, it's only on the internet, it's only on broadband, it's only on social media, but nonetheless it gets to enough people to count. And I run a television operation, a television channel, and I often say, "Come on, get behind Parkinson's." This one is specific. Get behind Parkinson's. That's what I'm saying to you. Get behind Parkinson's. Let's see if we can. There. Right. That's what's happening to the inside of the body, even though on the outside it doesn't look too bad. At least for some. Some people shake. Some people have difficulty lifting their feet. Some people have all sorts of manifestations of Parkinson's. But basically, I tell it to bugger off. And then I spend 3 hours in front of the camera each morning, steering through all sorts of people with all sorts of interesting things. For what? 3,000 people? Only probably about 50 watching at any given time. But does it matter? No, it does not, because I believe passionately in what I do. And in believing passionately what I do, I'm able to shut off the fact that I've got Parkinson's. So please, what I'm saying to you is, there's no formal appeal. They don't even know I'm doing it. Please send money to Parkinson's. Yeah, you can send £3 to a puppy, or you can see £3 to a lion, or you can see £3 to a child in distress, and all those things are very worthy. But Parkinson's does tend to hit you later in life, and it's just oldies that get forgotten a lot of the time. Well, we ain't forgotten. We have a voice, and we make it heard every day, and I make it heard to Parkinson's. Bugger off, I tell it. And it helps. I don't know that it buggers off totally. No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. I've still got it. But I do take a positive attitude towards it. And I would ask you to take a positive attitude towards it. Just send them a few bob. That's all. That's all, just to help the research. This one I saw where if I started to do Irish jigs, it would help. Well, if that's the sort of research that's being done, God bless it. Why not? Let's try an Irish jig. Not right now. It's breakfast time. Anyway, this is Key Hayes of Mirador Television saying to you, please, 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 will you consider giving some cash to Parkinson's? Give it a go. It's a disease that is forgotten largely in the welter of publicity that you can get about all the diseases that hit people. But some famous people have had it, and some famous people have fought it to the bitter end. I'm going to fight it to the bitter end. Have I got another week? Have I got another day? Have I got another year? Have I got another decade? Oh, God help everybody if I have. But I'm going to fight it. For as long as I've got left, I'm going to fight it. Why don't you help me? Run alongside me, right? Give it a little bit of something. Even if you just wake up in the morning and tell Parkinson's to bugger off. I would urge you, don't forget it. That's the main thing. Toodle pip. Okay, it's now 10:02, so we're going to take a little breather, and then we'll be back, hopefully with Melissa and with her guest, but if not, with Melissa. And that is always a good value for money chat on a Friday. TGIF, we love Fridays in this television station. It means that we can view at 11 o'clock going for a drink of wine next door. And we can also we can get involved and lost in nonsense. So rejoin us in a minute. No, about 10 minutes or so. And we'll look forward to